right, and we're back. This is episode 23 of the Taproom Podcast. I guess you could probably call it the Michael Jordan episode of the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. But this was a super fun episode. Got to hang out with Ryan Hansen, also known as Big Pop Brewing on Instagram. Just a phenomenal dude. Like, honestly, just an all-around great guy. Got to go up to Clovis and visit him, hang out in his little brew pub that he has. Over at his house, so he does all of his home brewing there. He does so much stuff. Like, he does his own, obviously, home brewing. He does consultation work. He does like one-on-ones if you're interested in taking a class, so you can go on his website. Just an overall great dude. And honestly, just like, I was just really courteous. He does it all. Like I said, he does the home brewing. He also does distilling as well. Like, who does that? He's the guy's a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. But yeah, we had a ton of fun on this episode. I will put the timestamp in the description of when the interview is going to start. Also, I did want to plug his wife as well. His wife's Instagram. She's a travel blogger, and what she does too, like she teaches people like how to use their points to travel. Like, if you go to Costco or if you're like getting any types of points with your cards, you can spend just like smaller amounts on a trip, and actually just use your points. So she teaches you how to do all that sort of stuff. And I believe her Instagram is the traveling Hansens, at the traveling Hansens on Instagram. So I definitely give her a follow as well. And I appreciate her letting me, talk to her husband. Talk her husband's ear off there for about an hour and a half. But we had an absolute blast. Let's start this episode like we always do. Let's see here. This first one I got is from Machine Head. This one's out in Clovis as well. They started in 2018. This one is called the Kahuna Wave. And I have the description of it right here. Or Kahuna Waves, my apologies. It's a fruited sour with utopian blend of blood oranges, pomegranates, and sour cherries. Has a bright blush red in color, and the sour just hits all the right notes. It's coming in at 5.2% from Machine Head. So let's go ahead and crack her open, eh? Let's see if we can get it in there. Oh, yeah. Immediately you get to see all the red on here. It's delicious. I'm still recording on the HyperX Quadcast, like I mentioned in last week's episode. I absolutely love this microphone. So if you're into... Let's get that pour in there. So yeah, if you are into... if you ever want to start your own podcast or anything like that, definitely pick up one of these mics, because you can be like, right now I'm sitting outside and it barely picks up anything. You can set the gain for it and all of that, and it's just an awesome microphone. So, and it looks really cool too, the way it lights up and everything like that. So here we go. Cheers, boys. Let's jump on in. Water's fine. Oh, yeah. Hot damn. That is delicious. Oh my. Machine has freaking delicious. They got really good beers. This one, Kahuna Waves, it's coming in at 5.2%, so it's an easy drinker. Super refreshing, especially on like a hot summer day. And it really has that, reddish hue to it. It is phenomenal. And, I do love sours as well as all the other ones, but this is really, really good. And I would honestly, if you're in the area or if you're driving by the area, definitely go and check out their brewery. I believe they don't sell individual cans, but they do have crowlers. So that's what I'm going to be drinking. I got 2 crowlers, so I'm going to have to pound the rest of them after the episode. Oh, excuse me. But this one, you do get all those notes too. You definitely get those cherry notes, and you do get like a blood orange, almost not like a winey taste, but you do get that almost like, you really do get that orange like feel to it, and you get that taste to it. It's honestly got a good mouthfeel too. So definitely check them out. I'm gonna give this a big fat 10. This is delicious. Definitely, if you're in the area, just check it out. All the great places up there. Me and Ryan talked about it a little bit too. There's the other spot, Crow and Wolf, that we had a few of their beers on the show. Also, I don't want to give too much away, but I also got to try his gin. So he distills his own gin, and he distills his own whiskey. Didn't get to try the whiskey though. I mean, he said it was only 6 months old, I believe. So he likes to age it for about a year and a half before he drinks it. So definitely, follow Ryan a follow on Instagram at Big Pot Brewing. Just an all around great dude. But let's go ahead and jump into the next one here. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this one is what I meant to say. Oh, that is refreshing. Oh man. But yeah, like I said, all around great dude. This week I'm actually up in Monterey for my cousin's wedding. So I was gonna do like the normal kind of headlines and stuff like that, but I figured it would probably be better if I kind of talked about the breweries that I visited up here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. The first brewery I went to was we actually stopped in, me and Vero, we stopped in San Luis Obispo. Stopped at Oak and Otter. That place is awesome. They have some great beers. I actually got a picture of the flight that I got. I think I posted it on Instagram. But we had the Vitamin C, Moro Haze, the Happy Otter, Lazy Days, Cerveza, and Otter Blonde. They were freaking delicious, man. And let me see. I think I took a shot of the actual thing so I can describe each one to you. So the Vitamin C is a Belgian wit with orange. That was delicious. That was coming in at 4.6%. Also got what was the other one? Sorry, I keep forgetting to have it all here. The Moro Haze was a hazy with brewed with Citra and Centennial, coming in at 6.5. That one was absolutely fire. Lazy Days, another hazy IPA that we had, came in at 6%. What else did we have? Oh, I tried their Kolsch, their German light ale. It was at 5.2%. Holy shitballs. That beer was good. So big shout out to Dylan, their head brewer. I actually got to meet him yesterday. We are going to do an episode eventually. We'll do something, probably just a remote show, but be able to hear their story and how they started the brewery. I'm super excited about all that. The Cerveza was a Mexican lager. It's actually super smooth too. That was coming in at 4.6%. Let's see here. And then after that, so we had a bunch of good ones over there, but I think my favorite one there was their Otter. I think it was their the Hoppy Otter. It was a West Coast IPA, and that one was 6.8%. That might have been my favorite. Like I would have given, if I was rating that one, I'd probably give it a big fat 10. So after that, we went up to Morro Bay, got to see some of the sea otters up there. It was really cool. So if you guys are ever thinking about going up there, definitely hit up Oak and Otter and hit up Morro Bay. And then from there, went up to the hotel, checked in, did all that good stuff. And then went straight to field work over in Monterey. I liked their Oceans and Avenues. It was a cool little spot. It seemed like a cool little spot to, you could hit up after work or something like that, knock back a couple of beers. But yeah, I enjoyed their hops. I had a flight, but that's all I'm really going to say about that. I did enjoy their Oceans and Avenues. This is a passion fruit lager. That one was pretty solid. After that, I went to Alvarado, which was really cool. It was more like a brew pub, so it was kind of like a restaurant-y. But that's the kind of what I guess if you're going to that one, that's what you're going for. But had their pizza. It was a sourdough pizza. Freaking delicious, man. That was really, really good. What else do we have? And then I had from there, I want to say it was their Land and Sea. Let me go ahead and take a look here. I thought I thought I took a picture of their menu, but I did not. Let's see, I might have. I know, I should have been prepared. I'm not prepared. We get it. All right. Let's see here. Yes, okay, I do have it here. It was called Land and Sea X IPA. So it was an extra pale ale with 100% Nelson hops. And it was crisp. It was super, yeah. So I remember it being crisp and refreshing. It was only 5%, but it was, really good. And then their pizza was fire. It was made with sourdough crust. It had ricotta, hot honey, pepperoni. Just honestly, it was just fucking fire. It was so, so good. So definitely, if you guys are in the area, check that place out. But while we were there, though, because it was super busy, and I didn't want to I kind of wanted to check out another place and see what we can find up here. And Veto actually found one called Other Brother Beer Co. It's in Seaside, so it's maybe 7-8 minutes from Monterey. It's super close, and that place is awesome. I actually got to talk to one of their bartenders. I'm actually going to put I did a little snippet with him. He mentions that he works there and stuff like that, like I've done in past episodes. That'll be at the end of the episode. Well, that place is really, really good. That place, I couldn't, honestly, I was just surprised, just finding all these, really cool breweries up there. I had their Grimple, which was their lager. Delicious, super refreshing. And then they had, I think it's called the Loose Caboose. It was a tropical IPA. Holy shit, that was really good. I think Veto had a sour, but they were really good. So if you're in the Seaside area, or if you're driving up this way or taking a road trip or something like that, definitely stop by there, because they deserve your business. They are freaking awesome, man. So those 4 breweries, definitely, to each their own. Everybody likes their different things, but yeah, it was cool. I loved Oak and Otter, loved Alvarado, loved Other Brother. And Fieldwork was cool too. So definitely check those places out if you're in the area. All right. Well, we should probably jump into Brewski 2 here. This is another 5.2%. This one is called Island Tart. It says, influenced by our recent trip to Maui, this cocktail-inspired sour was brewed with cranberries, juicy strawberries, and cara oranges. It says, a wave of candied strawberries hits your palate on the first sip and finishes with an awesome tart citrus. So far, what's it called? Machine Head is 1 for 1. Let's see if they go 2 for 2. Actually, they did have their other one as well. They had a hazy in it. I think it was called Mohawk Madness. I had that one, and that one was delicious as well. But that was a different day. Let's crack this one open, eh? Nope. Sorry, not as good of a crack on that one. Didn't want to spill it. But let's get a pour in, eh? All right. This one is definitely a similar color to the other one. This one might be a little darker, but I like it. Let's go ahead. Let's give her a taste, eh? Oh, and before I do that, I've had people ask me, oh, are you from Canada? I was like, no, I just like strange brew. And I know I've mentioned it on a past episode before, but I figured might as well mention it again, just in case anybody asks. Let's go ahead and jump in here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This one is a lot more tart than the last one, but still really good. There's the initial sweet. You really do get that, strawberries do kind of, the sweet strawberries really punch you right in the face right in the beginning, and then you get the tartness towards the end. But this is really good. I actually really enjoy this because you do, like I said, you get that initial sweet to it, and then that punch, that punch in the beginning. Super red. Really, honestly, fuck, this is really good. They both, I'm going to give them double 9s. The first one got a 9, Kahuna, and Island Tart. Definitely getting a 9 for me as well. Super delicious. Definitely, like I said, if you're in the area, and even if you're just driving by, or you're going on a road trip, and you're driving up north, and you're from SoCal or from wherever, and you're driving up north, say to San Francisco or Monterey or anything like that, definitely stop by Machine Head, stop by Crone Wolf, and send a DM to Big Pot. Maybe he'll meet up and have a beer with you or something. He is going on a trip here pretty soon, though. I believe he said it was next month, so he's going to be gone for, I can't remember whether he's, and there we go, there's a cop coming, so sorry if you guys heard that. But it's either I want to say it's a 3-week trip he's going on all around England. Not England, not just England, but Europe, going to Zurich and a bunch of different places. So definitely if you're in the area, potentially, maybe hit him up. We got some great things coming where him and I are actually we talked about it on the show, or on the interview. So you guys will hear that when when the interview starts. But we will be doing a little brewing together, which is something I'm really excited about. I mean, like I've talked about before, I've been to a brewing class, haven't actually tried brewing yet, but have been wanting to get into it, just to kind of, to learn more. I mean, that's what this is all been about for me. Like, as much as I've loved craft beer for, the longest time, being able to learn that side of it. And that's why I love being able to talk to, to people that brew. I mean, I love brewers, love talking to owners, but also love just talking to just people that love beer. So I'm really excited. I think we're going to do something either November or December, so that should be a good time. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take another drink of this beer. Let's jump in. Oh, yeah, definitely double nines. It's great stuff. I thoroughly enjoy it. Yeah, this is really good, but I'm doing a little abrupt cut here. Before we start the interview, it's weird. I'm getting this weird message from my new field correspondents, Romeo and Juliet. Are you guys there?
Hey, Mike. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got some important news that's breaking. We're over in Austin, Texas, checking out the Blue Owl, which is very, very sour specific, which is much to Juliet's liking. It is 100 degrees out, but I am drinking a rhubarb stout, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's not super heavy. And then I'm also
Romeo, I'm sorry to interrupt you interrupting Mike, but I feel like you started with the stout, and I really feel like we need to talk exclusively about the sours, because what other brewery do we know besides this beautiful Blue Owl Brewing focuses solely on sours? None. That's right.
Well, they also focus on pickle beers, which I'm about to drink, so we're going to do this live on air, and we'll see what my reaction is to this pickled beer.
I'm really curious because I love pickles. However, I do not like drinking pickles. It's a little too pickly when you drink it.
All right, guys, here it goes. Let's see how it tastes.
All right, he goes for it. He's drinking it. Looks like a big drink, big gulp. How is it, Romeo?
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I wouldn't drink this all the time, but it's definitely good.
I'll take your word for that, and I'll stick to my tiger's blood, which is, oh my god, it's like a slushie in a glass. It's not a slushie, though. There is no ice. I want to make that very clear for people who tend to misunderstand what I'm saying.
All right, Mike, as you can see, we're pretty far in, so we're going to let you get back to the podcast, but thanks for checking in. Cheers.
Parting is such sweet sorrow.
All right, Romeo and Juliet, thank you guys for that. So I might be doing that more often. Hope you guys enjoyed it. But here we go. We're going to get started in the interview with Ryan Hansen, Big Pot Brewing. I hope you guys enjoy it. Stay tuned for the outro. All right, guys, welcome back to the tap room. I am your host, Mike. I am here with Ryan Hansen, also known as Big Pot Brewing on Instagram. How you doing today?
I'm excellent, man. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one up here in Clovis. This is my first time up here. I've been, I've seen the Tulare area, Visalia, all that sort of stuff, but never up here like towards Fresno. It's really nice.
It is, and it's kind of a pocket hidden back behind Fresno. People usually drive by on the 99, and they're like, I do not want to go there.
Yeah.
So we hide back here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you guys have an In-N-Out right off the freeway, so I was like, that sounds like a win.
We've got a few, yeah.
Yeah. I love In-N-Out. It's probably my favorite place. I think I talk about it too much sometimes. But
It's all good.
Yeah.
I know. All the East Coasters don't get that joy.
Yeah, definitely true. I did want to, we're obviously here in your brewery. This is a freaking awesome spot. Like you have, just like so much stuff on the wall. Obviously you were in the military as well. You have your canner over there. It's a really, really cool spot that you have here.
All right, thank you. Yeah. I love it out here. Yeah.
How long have you been brewing?
Probably pushing 10 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
Started out just like any other home brewer with a little 1 gallon kit from Target that I got for Christmas and was immediately hooked.
Yeah.
So wanted to nerd out and become, make really good beer. And then that turned into more nerdery and learning all sorts of stuff to improve that quality.
That's awesome. And it's like kind of like I think everyone kind of started out with like, or at least people that I've talked to, it's always like that Mr. Beer kind of kit.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it's like, yeah, that kind of jumps everybody into the home brewing part of it. Oh, and I see you have a Brewzilla over there too. That's one that me and my brother want to get.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I love that system. That's actually my distiller.
Okay.
That's what I use for distilling. I've got the claw hammers for actually brewing. Awesome. That's the ones on the counter right there.
That's cool.
Yep.
Man, that's so sweet. And like, what guys, was it just something that you had always been like kind of passionate, like when it comes to craft beer, or?
Not really. My journey into craft beer started, I was stuck at a Thanksgiving probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago, stuck at a Thanksgiving family reunion, and the only beers available were Arrogant Bastard and I think Denogonizer. And so I'm like, oh boy, I'd been a Budweiser guy forever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I'll muscle through this. And by the end of the third one, I was like, I love craft beer.
It's the best.
Yep. So then a buddy of mine, a neighbor of mine, we started hanging out a couple times a week and just trying different whiskeys and stuff.
Yeah.
And he took me to some friends of his who have a local brewery, and I got to see it being made. And that was the first time it clicked in my head. Wait, you can like make beer here? It was like a little 3 or 4 barrel system, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. I want to learn everything. And that was just the starting point.
That's cool, man. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I mean, and so, I mean, you brew, you distill, you also write, because, I mean, I saw you, and you have your own website, bigpopbrewing.com, right?
Yep.
That's awesome, man. And, like, how long have you been distilling, too? Was it around the same amount of time?
Yeah, we actually started with distilling. I've got the old still top that my plumber neighbor helped us build, and it was atrocious. Like, the moonshine that we made was just paint thinner, like you cannot drink it. But I was like, come on, I can figure this out. And so started, doing the YouTube University thing and learning. And so I started out with distilling, found the local homebrew shop to get the corn and the grains that we needed. Mm-hmm. So figured it out the hard way, and then ended up looking at the equipment that we had, and I'm like, man, I could do beer too with the fermenter and the brew in a bag, the kettles. We got everything that we needed. So jumped right in to all grain brewing and learned everything I know from, at the time it was Brewlosophy, a couple other podcasts online, and just thousands of hours of research and reading and doing all that stuff and just falling in love with craft beer. So yeah. It's a fun journey.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a couple of your beers right here.
I do. Let's get in.
Yes. Which one should we? Which one do you want to start with?
Well, let's start light. So I've got a Mexican lager and a Kolsch here. Okay. Let's jump into the Kolsch. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's crack it.
Crack her open, eh? People always ask me, like, "Are you Canadian?" I was like, "No." I just because I always say the A at the end of it, but it's because of Strange Brew. I don't know if you ever watched that movie. It was like Rick Moranis. It was like Bob and Doug McKenzie was like their thing on Second City.
Okay.
So like, it was called Strange Brew. So they would like always like, throw A at the end of everything. And it was just hilarious to me. So I was like, I'm just going to do that from now on.
Well, there you go.
Cheers,
eh?
Cheers. Oh, that smells good.
Nothing better at 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, man. That's really good, brother.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Kolsch is one of my favorite styles. It's that hybrid between ale and lager. It's just nice and fruity. Easy sipper, low ABV. I think this one's like 4.5%.
Okay.
It's got to be crystal clear. Oh, yeah. And, I really like it. It's got kind of a smooth mouth feel.
Oh, for
just
sure.
Goes down easy peasy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's really good. And what kind of hops were you using, or did you use specifically for this one?
Ooh, good question. I'd have to pull up the recipe to remember. I always play with this recipe.
Okay.
So here, I can find that real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Ah.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, this one is Pilsner malt, Vienna malt, and wheat malt. And then the hops are Hallertau Mittelfrüh
Nice.
and Tettnanger. So really classic hops for this style.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. And that is delicious. So you also do consulting work too. Like, do you what goes into that, or how do you like kind of get into that field?
Yeah. It's actually been a long time that I've been trying to work on it. It started when a good buddy of mine, who's the CEO of a local brewery here, he gets hit up by other either new breweries or folks that need help, setting up a new system. What equipment should we get? How does this recipe look? And he's busy as all get out. And so he started handing me contact information. He's like, hey, call these people. I think you can help them.
Okay.
I don't even know what you should charge or anything, but if you think it's a good fit. So the first time I ever did consulting, I actually flew to North Carolina to build a pilot system for somebody. So it's like a glorified big homebrew system.
Yeah.
He's confident that I could pull that off, and so trusted me enough to hand over my info.
Yeah.
I'd fly out there, build a system, teach him how to use it, and we actually brewed the first commercial beer on Native American land in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Wow.
Helping them get their license to open a small brewery, but they needed to show their version of the TTB. We're a commercial brewery, so that was kind of a cool little
That's cool.
swan dive into consulting. So it just grew from there. I started putting the word out on my Instagram, because my Instagram's mostly focused on homebrewing stuff, which is what I've focused on for a long time. But I started putting it out like, hey, if you're a brewery and planning, like, let me help you with the business plan.
Sorry.
You're good. So I started combining. I've got an MBA. I've written multiple business plans. I was a professional brewer on a 10-barrel system for a while. So I was like, I'm pretty confident that I could help other people.
Okay.
And then that was reaffirmed when I'm watching like smaller breweries open or home brewers try and get into professional brewing.
Yeah.
And they have no clue of all the business systems that need to go around it, all of the, like, where do you get ingredients? How do I clean this big equipment that I can't just drag over to a sink and clean?
Yeah.
And so I'd go in and help them and, charge nominal fees at first. And now I'm like, you know what? We can do this professionally. So, went full send, got a business license and all of the things that I needed to be able to put the word out. And, I can help anybody either put a business plan together if they're a brewery in planning, or jump into an existing brewery that might be struggling to get people in the door, or their recipes aren't quite right and they just want to optimize it, or shelf stability if they want to get into distributing. None of it is rocket science, but there's a lot of X factors that you don't know what you don't know. And so that's where I come in.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a really cool story of that, like, the whole being on the Cherokee reservation and all that sort of stuff, like them opening like their own, craft brewery. And it's like, craft brewery isn't just for just like for like people in America or like people like, because it's kind of like with European heritage and stuff like that, or like, but everybody, I feel like, and I think I mentioned it before, how like Nadav from Long Beach Beer Lab, was moving to Israel in the beginning of next year to open up his own brewery. And that's like how cool is that? Like, because when you think of Israel, you don't, you think of probably religion and stuff.
Right.
You don't really think of craft beer. But how cool is that they, that they get to, that he's doing that and, you're doing what you're doing and, that seems like things are going really well. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. It's pretty exciting. I actually just announced it on my Instagram yesterday. I'm like, look, I'm going pro.
Yeah.
So, that was pretty fun. Yeah.
And so you said you were working with that CEO. What brewery does he own?
Riley's Brewing here locally.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So they've got a brand new taproom restaurant that's opening up right off the freeway. So it's going to be a good stop. Their restaurant is good. They have one of the coolest brewing systems that they just installed. It's a press instead of a basic mash tun. So I know it's nerdy, but the efficiency is high. They're filling their fermenters, and all of that just went in within the last couple of weeks. So I'm really excited for them.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my brother would love that name because that was our stepdad, or my stepdad's name, his actual dad.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, his name was Riley. So he always wanted to have something with the name Riley in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The owner's last name is Riley. So.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yep. Good dudes.
No, that's awesome. So with like your setup here, like, obviously the Big Pot Brewing, did you like, how often are you brewing in here?
I brew a lot. So, first, I mean, when the doors are open right here, any of the neighbors just waltz over, like, "Hey, man, what are you doing? Like, what's pouring?"
Yeah.
So I probably brew 2 to 3 times a month to keep the 6 taps full. Recently, I started doing either experiments, which is like testing different variables in the brewing process to see if they matter or not for a group called Brewlosophy. And I also do test batches for local breweries that don't necessarily want to start off with like a 10 or 15 barrel batch. They're like, hey, try this recipe out. Let's see if we like the yeast, if we like how it behaves. So I've also been doing that. So started kind of lovingly referring to this as the test kitchen, which is pretty cool. Awesome. It's pretty cool to kind of then see a recipe that I built or that I tweaked end up on somebody's tap in an actual brewery. So it's awesome. Good. Yeah.
And you had mentioned to me like there was a place, Crow and Wolf. Is that like one
absolutely
of your local watering holes?
Yep. They're right up the street from me, so a quick 3-minute bike ride away, so I don't have to drive. Nice. Super good dudes. They came into town. They opened up a couple of years ago, and they're absolutely killing it. Just amazing beer.
Awesome.
Their seltzer game is off the hook, and I can't get enough. I love knowing the guys too, so I can just walk in the back and hang out or work from there if I need to. Love those guys.
That's cool, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's what, I always like to hear, like, I always, especially for like anybody listening, because sometimes they may be passing through and they'll be like, oh, I heard about this brewery over here.
Totally worth going out of your way to go see Crow and Wolf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's what I love about it, because you never know. Sometimes you might find a hidden gem, like,
totally,
something like that, or might drive by and you might see Big Pop and be like, "Hey,
what's
I know
that
guy."
Yep, I know. I actually have people call me. They find my website or the listing on Google, and they're like, "Do you have kegs available for sale?" I'm like, "No, I'm actually just a consultant, so don't distribute, but I'll point them in the right direction for sure."
Go.
Yep,
that's awesome, man. Mm-hmm. That course was delicious.
Yeah. All right, let's dig in. We'll get the Mexican lager.
Oh, next. Yeah. Oh, you're good, man. And one thing I said, when it comes to just the brewing like aspect of it, because I always try to let people know, like, hey, I've never brewed before, other than that little Mr. Beer Kit I helped my cousin with.
Yeah.
All those years ago. Always wanted to learn. Took one class at Windsor. But I was just like, I want to get to that point, because just to be able to, that extra kind of thing, especially when it comes to the show. I just love drinking beer.
Yeah. Well, I think any craft beer nerd should at least know the basics. Like, you don't have to be like top end gear to make, like all of these fermenters over here. Mm-hmm. They're super expensive when you just look at the price tag up front.
Yeah.
But I can control every variable that a brewery can. So anything from oxygen-free transfers, pressure fermentation to temperature control, and all of it is dialed in. Like, you don't need to go full send like that to learn how to brew. Yeah. But once you, even at like plastic bucket fermenters, so like under $200, you can get everything that you need to get into it. So when you are tasting other people's beers, you're like, hey, I can kind of pick out these flavors, and you're learning what the hops, the malts, and all of that stuff tastes like. Yeah. Speak intelligently about it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's why I feel like I learn more and more, especially when I talk to brewers. Like, they kind of, not like teach me everything, but they, I've learned so much more just talking to them or talking to people like you. And just from that, it's like, man, I was like, maybe one day I can, do something, or I'll just help pour like the hops in the in the tank or something.
That's the most fun part. Yeah,
yeah. Because I know, and that's one of the things too. I always like, anytime I talk to a brewer, they're always like, love brewing and all that stuff, but it's like, it's 90% cleaning and then like the 10%
100%.
Yeah. But I mean, it's so fun, and it's like you love it so much that it makes it all worth it.
I like having a finished product that I get to share with people at the end, which is, I would hope every brewer loves that about it.
For sure. And I mean, I feel like any type of, creator of, anything, like if you put something out and people enjoy it, then that's what,
Yep.
It's like having your, like, seeing your kids like open up like a Christmas present and them loving it or something. That's like, yeah. Sure, it costs an arm and a leg, but
I want to see the smiles at the end of it. Yeah,
exactly.
Makes it worth it.
That's the best part, and that's why even for something like this, being able to come up here and record with you. Like, I feel like this has opened up so many doors for me, and being able to, like I said, coming up, meeting you, and just like, us kind of connecting right away. Just,
Totally.
when I first added you on Instagram, and then like you messaging me after you listened to the episode. And to me, that was just like, I was like, man, that's cool. And then eventually, like, we talked like, hey, would you ever want to do something? I was like, fuck yeah, let's do something. And, eventually I was able to get up here and to do that. To me, that's awesome, man. I love being able to make these kind of connections with people.
Yep. And, well, you've said it once, you've said it 1,000 times. Yeah. This is like the coolest industry in the world. Like, there's so few like dicks out there. There are some, but for the most part, everybody's welcoming or willing to help. Yeah. Breweries, swapping ingredients when they're in a pinch. Like I see that, especially locally. It's just a great, great crowd. That's why I love it.
Yeah. Cheers. And what's the percentage on this one?
This is a 4.6%. This is a Mexican lager. So gotcha. Pilsner malt, and obviously for a Mexican lager, that needs to be corn. So there's flaked maize in here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It smells delightful.
Easy peasy. Good drinker. Imperial yeast is the king on this one. Yep.
That's really good. I'm trying to there's a citrusy note in there, but I'm trying to figure out what it is. Is it not like lime or anything? Is nothing like that?
There's no lime in it. Nope.
What hops did you use on? Like, was it like Citra or something or anything like that?
No, I'm pretty sure this was Tettnang as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm really getting like a citrusy note in there.
It's. I think what you're tasting is kind of a maltiness that comes off of the Pilsner malt that I used for this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Which it tricks you, especially once you call it a Mexican lager. You know what it is. You're expecting lime from that Corona thing.
Yeah.
Which was the goal. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Dad, that's really good. I'm gonna tell I love it here on the show. I'm gonna tell Vero I don't like it, so she won't drink it, and I'll drink them all.
There you go.
Like you said earlier, there's nothing like beer at 8:30 in the morning.
Exactly. Yep.
When you text me, I was laughing when I saw the text this morning. It says day drinking starts early.
Yep.
I was like, oh shit. So obviously you do the consulting work, the brewing aspect. You do brewing classes too, right?
I do. I was teaching folks how to brew right here. Charging, it was like $250. You get the full day to watch me brew, and then you come back 2 weeks later to see the kegging process, and basically start to finish, you've been part of that beer. And I'd have them do it, so it's all hands on, and they feel like they got to brew. But with 4 kids, 2 jobs, and everything else, I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of painful. I don't have enough time for this. So I ended up making a brewing course. So you can go to Homebrewer Pro or find the link in my Instagram bio. But that's a full, everything you need to know distilled to, I think it ends up being like 12 or 15 hours worth of video altogether.
Wow.
Everything from the basics of the ingredients, so yeast, hops, water, and the grains, sanitation, full brew days with different kinds of systems.
Yeah.
So the Bruzilla's on there, the Spike Solo, we've got the claw hammers, so you can see step by step and follow along all the way through to packaging, whether you're bottling and bottle conditioning to kegging or even canning. Wow. So it's a full suite. I kind of tried my best to condense it and just keep it simple while also not skipping corners and teaching people the importance of certain variables, not getting oxidation, temperature control during fermentation, all that kind of nerdy stuff that otherwise you might be poking around on YouTube and you see like 5 different brewers doing things 5 different ways. Yeah. I teach my method. So it's all grain, and just try to keep it as simple as possible. And people like it. I've never gotten a bad review on it. That's and so awesome, I plan on adding to it, especially now that the consulting is live. The next components that I'm going to add, and these will be an add-on, it'll be for small pilot systems. So 1, 2, or 3 barrel systems. I'll bring one in here, but essentially I want to be able to teach a restaurant how to become a brew pub. So
Okay.
say you're like in middle of Tennessee and you're a barbecue joint and you're like, man, how do I compete with all these other barbecue joints? Well, if you make your own beer in-house, once that equipment's paid for, instead of $110, $150 per keg, you're getting it for the ingredients of, under $100. And now you've got, well, depending on the batch size, but now you've got full kegs of your own house beers.
Yeah.
And you could keep it simple. Just put a red, an IPA, a hazy, and a lager, and boom, you're golden. Now you're a tap. Now you've got your own taps.
Yeah.
And it kind of helps set you apart. So now you're attracting not just the barbecue folks, but it's like, oh, craft beer nerds welcome too. So it's pretty fun. So that'll be an add-on course. But yeah, for a home brewer, absolutely. Yeah, go to homebrewerpro.com or find it on my website or my link in bio.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, and because don't really not everybody always thinks of the stuff like that, especially like you said, like a barbecue joint, you wanna, or any type of restaurant, But yeah, if you can, because I mean, how often do you see? And I'm actually next week's episode is going to be I did record with the guys from the Bone Shack Barbecue.
Okay.
But I mean, how often do you see vendors going to breweries and stuff like that? Where if you have a restaurant, your own barbecue restaurant, it'll not just so you're bringing in that barbecue crowd, you're bringing in that the craft beer crowd too.
Yep.
Because then you could do different types of food pairings and all that sort of stuff.
Totally. Come for the beer, stay for the food.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fun stuff.
That's awesome, man. I mean, and that's, dude, you're honestly, it seems like you're killing it right now, and just keep doing what you're doing, brother. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Because I mean, not everybody always thinks of stuff like that, and being able to just kind of have that passion for it, because you can hear it in your voice. You can hear how much you truly care about what you're doing and what you're promoting and stuff like that. Because I even saw you even do you'll do a one-on-one call, right? If there's some type of issue.
Yeah. It spans the gambit. I'm just trying to learn what makes the most sense as a consultant.
Yeah.
But sometimes that first call, I mean, it could be somebody that took my brewing course.
Yeah.
They have complete access to me by messenger or email after they've, quote unquote, graduated, right?
Yeah.
So, and the course is only $60. It's not even a barrier to entry. They have full access to me, but those calls could be a homebrewer that's like, hey man, my IPAs are turning purple after 3 days. What am I doing wrong? And it's just that easy, quick call that will be completely worth it for them to just talk through okay, tell me your process. Okay, let's fix this and this, try it, then call me back.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those one-on-one calls are usually a foot in the door to be able to okay, tell me your vision. What do you want to expand in your brewery? Potentially finding consulting clients. But even if it's just a home brewer that wants to level up, totally my jam. I love talking about it. I can do it all day long.
Yeah, because you don't want your beer looking like Grimace.
No, no, that's bad. So, and I see it too often too. That's the bane of home brewing a New England IPA, for example. Super susceptible to oxidation. Yeah. So there's just some little tweaks and techniques that you can do to minimize that and make sure that you're shelf stable for longer.
That's cool, man. I mean, because you do all these things, and you write too. I was reading a lot of the stuff on your website. It's how long has that always been a passion for you too, or is it?
Yeah,
is it a triple threat, quadruple threat, I guess.
I've always respected the. I mean, there's certain titans in the industry for, especially the home brewing side, where it's names that we all know, and I'm like, man, okay, I can share my experience. I think my angle on writing, especially for brew your own magazine or things like that. When I'm writing articles, I like to bring it down to non-technical words as much as possible. So a beginning home brewer isn't overwhelmed with chemistry or things that'll make your eyes cross. Cause I'm kind of dumb. And so if I can understand it, then anybody can understand it. And so it's okay, let's translate all this nerdy science stuff into practical. How do we do it? Yeah. When the rubber meets the road, what does all this mean? So instead of focusing on the nerdy science, I'm just do this. Yeah. If you do it this way, here's why, but do it this way and you're going to be okay. Yeah. So that makes me happy when folks are like, hey, dude, that was super helpful. I've never understood this concept of, say water chemistry. It looks super scary.
Yeah.
Then you break it down. It's like, no. Plug this into this software. Click here. And you are good.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's cool because it's like, I mean, yeah, like you said, not everybody knows like the technical kind of like jargon of everything. Like when you're reading stuff and like people, that will deter people. Like literally if you go in and they see something like that, that'll be like, where if they were to just, read something like you're doing and it makes it that much easier and it'll help them understand and actually maybe want to continue to do it.
Makes brewing more approachable.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. Because I feel like, there's so many things in life where like, yeah, these like people can overcomplicate things or like overconvolute kind of things. But if you have a simple kind of process to it and, something where, especially I feel like brewing is more of like a hands-on kind of thing.
Yeah.
And once you're kind of learning and, even like when you're reading, like, like everything that you're doing, that's just, I feel like that's really cool because not everybody, at least from the stuff that I've seen, not everybody does that. So.
Yeah. Let's equate it to any other hobby or skill, right?
Yeah.
Learning how to drive, right?
Yeah.
If I sat down with my 14-year-old and I'm like, okay, here's how to drive, and I just brain dump for 2 hours explaining everything. It's going to be so overwhelming. It's information overload. That's usually what new homebrewers are facing when they just hop onto YouTube, like how to homebrew.
Yeah.
You'll see 50 different, resources or places to learn. So that always frustrated me because I know I had to sift through 2,000 something hours and then finding the commonalities of like, oh, okay, this seems to be a consistent theme. That must be important.
Yeah.
This seems not important and this guy doesn't even do that step.
Yeah.
So what happens if I don't do that step? So like keep it as simple as possible. Also removes the variable of like, oh, I'm not going to screw it up by cutting out those steps because I'm taking out like as much contact time as possible. So yeah. Beer will make itself. If you're going through the motions right and then refining it, that's like you can just do that when the time comes and just nerd out on whatever factor you want to. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's awesome, man. And I love, like, one of the things I love about this show, like, well, especially like when I get to talk to brewers, because I love talking to anybody that loves beer. But, when I get to talk to to people that brew or like anything like that, when you hear like just like the passion in their voice and like something that they truly care about, because this is something that I truly care about, like just this show.
Yeah.
I always want. Are there days when I'm like hungover and I'm like trying to record the intro? I'm sure people have heard it.
We've all muscled through those days, but
yeah. And it's like, but when you have that kind of commitment or the passion to be able to do something like that, and I applaud anybody that that is able to continue to push through and like with all the things that you're doing. Like we'll get into distilling to it a little bit because I love whiskey too. Yeah, I don't talk about it as much. On the show, but like I would, I'm not like also not like a whiskey snob either. Like I'll drink like one of my favorites is Templeton. Like I can.
Oh, there you go.
Templeton. Like, any day of the week, just on the rocks. I know some people like it neat. I like it cold. But that was always one of my go-tos. But I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm going to finish the rest of this Mexican lager.
You are good.
But I guess I was saying earlier that how this show is kind of, I've been able to meet people and make connections and like, genuine connections. I feel like, genuine friendships through something like this. And from people that I might not have ever met if I hadn't started doing this.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why one thing I love about the beer industry. And like I said, I've probably said it a million times on the show, but I love it because you get to talk to people. Like you get to sit across from a bar essentially.
Yeah.
And you don't have a genuine conversation with somebody that has a similar interest to you and, being able to kind of nerd out on it. Like
totally.
And because I get to nerd out listening to you nerd out, and it's like, to me, that's awesome.
And hopefully the audience gets to enjoy that nerding out as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So distilling, because I've always been curious about that. Like, because I know, the only thing I know about distilling at all is like watching like movies like Lawless or something like that.
Yeah. Or Popcorn Sutton's the show that they put on following him around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's about the extent of what I know. And for anybody listening that maybe wants to try something like that or get into that side, what kind of goes into it?
So I have to start with the disclaimer. It's technically not legal to distill at the homebrew level.
Understood.
When I did the brewing and distilling course out in Knoxville, Tennessee, from the Brewing and Distilling Center, we did get to go to distilleries, and I got to see and do hands-on, training of this is where we make the mash, and these are the kind of washes that we make, and here's the boilers, here's the thumpers, here's how we bottle, and all of those things. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is really cool. And I'd already done a little bit of home distilling. So I'm not encouraging folks to go out and do that, but it's one of those gray areas, right? Like even if a cop was sitting right here, he's like, dude, in Fresno, I got homeless people throwing poop at each other. So that's a lot more important for me to go figure out than your little home brewing or home distilling operation. So as long as you're not selling it and you're doing it on your own, I think you're probably fine. That being said, distilling is super easy. Almost easier in some senses, in some ways, than brewing beer. All distilling is you're evaporating the alcohol that's inside a wash. And so we can make a mash the exact same way that we do with beer. It might be different ingredients. Say it's a bourbon, so it's mostly corn and grains. You distill that, you mash that, so it's like probably 10 to 12% ABV.
Gotcha.
Right, once you're done, you throw it in the still, you turn the heat on. Alcohol volatilizes at about 170 degrees, where water boils at 212. So that steam that's coming off comes off before everything else is boiling. That steam goes up a column, it condenses, and those drips fall over into the container that you're catching. That's all there is to it.
Okay.
Now, there's definitely techniques for controlling your temperature, making sure that the wash is exactly what you want. Like a whiskey is very different than a gin, or vodka is a super clean. So you want a reflux still, which is going to only let the best of the best up and over.
Yeah.
Whereas a gin is essentially dirty vodka. So on the home level, you would just soak a bunch of juniper, coriander, tangerine peels, whatever you want to put into it for, up to 2 weeks, strain that out, and then distill it. And now you've got just the most amazing gin that you've ever had. Yeah. And you got 5 gallons of it right out of the still.
That's awesome.
It takes 6 hours sometimes to run a still, but it's really not as complicated as people think. So we're going to try that next. I hope you like gin.
I you know what? One thing I've only maybe had gin once, so let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, so we got some first time ever on the show.
Yeah.
We'll do a little gin tasting.
Cheers, brother.
Here we go. Cheers.
So this gin is one of my favorite things to make. Super easy.
It's smooth.
It is smooth. This is coriander, juniper, and this particular one has a lot of tangerine peels. That's that citrusy aftertaste that you're getting.
Yeah.
It's one of the easiest things for home distilling and to kind of learn the ropes because it's ready right out of the gate. You don't have to age it, so you don't have that process. Yeah. Once it's off the still, you can drink it right away. So
dude, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the fact that you can drink it neat is one of my points of pride in it because a lot of gin it's very juniper heavy, so that's a bitter flavor for most people that they don't like. I personally dig it, but I made this one so that I can make mixed drinks for the wife or anybody that wants to come over and they're not used to gin. Yeah, it's not gonna punch you in the face, but I mean that's 45%, so it's up there.
It'll get you
a heater. Yep.
It's I don't know if you ever watched Major League. It's like Ricky Vaughn.
Oh yeah,
come bringing the heat on that one.
Bring the heat.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's a fun one to make. Definitely something that I recommend somebody starting with when they're getting their feet wet with home distilling. Yeah.
Just a quick story about my grandfather. I mentioned him earlier because you were in the military and you were airborne. Were you in the 82nd?
I was 82nd for 5 years and then special operations for the second half. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I can't wait to tell my brother-in-law about it because he was military. My grandpa's military. And my grandpa, he would always say, they called him, he would fly to Hawaii a lot because that's where my grandma was from on my mom's side. And every time he would go and take the flight over there, they would serve drinks or whatever, and he would have gin martinis.
Yep.
And he would be like, and they at one point at the end of the flight, he's all, call me Mr. Martini because he was so hammered.
That's funny. Here's my sports connection. This is all I got on the sports front.
All good.
We were just in San Francisco watching the Giants get waffle stomped by the Mariners 2 days in a row. I don't know how the third game went, but at the hotel, we're sitting there, and I wasn't impressed with their beer lineup, and so I was like, all right, gin martini, a dirty martini, because I mean, that's pure alcohol, right? Yeah. Bang for your buck at a hotel drink.
Exactly.
That's what I want. You're going to pay $15 for a drink. It might as well be good.
Yeah.
My wife looks at me. She's like looking at the tops. Like, you're not. Since when do you get gin martinis? I was like, I don't know. It felt like going wild a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that was my drink for the whole weekend. Yeah. Fun times.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to let the big dog out. And, have a dirty martini.
Dude, they hit hard too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you were mentioning when we were off air, but I want to talk about it. So you're going to Europe, right?
Yeah, we've got our first big trip with the kids, especially international. So we're going to do 3 weeks. We're going to England, Paris, Zurich, Venice, Florence, Rome, and back up to England. So
That's
3
awesome.
weeks. Traveling with 4 kids. We'll see how my sanity is after that. But it'll be a good trip. I look forward to trying the local brews, and if I can weasel my way back into a brewery over there, I want to see how they do it.
There you go.
It's always fun to explore that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like with the craft beer community, I'm sure like if you reached out to whoever or whichever brewery, I'm sure someone would probably get back to you because like we were saying before, like the craft beer community is like, for the most part, I haven't really had any, there are times where I don't get a message back. Yeah. But I mean, for the most part, like people respond and they're like, oh yeah, like come down, like we'll talk beer for a little bit, or we'll talk about how, the brewery started.
Yep.
And I love that too. I mean, because being able to, and I this is another thing I say on the show, so people are probably like tired of hearing it, but it's like everybody's destination is the same, but the journey's different. And
right.
Just like, your journey's different, like going, like being, special ops and, being in the military and stuff like that. And now doing everything that you're doing, it seems like, like I said, you're a quadruple threat. So, we have another beer right here, right?
We do.
And which one is this one from?
So this is called Stargazer from Crow and Wolf. So again,
awesome.
One of my local breweries, one of my favorites.
Okay.
Let's get right into it. Yeah. This is a hazy IPA that they make.
I love that it says Central California on the side of the can.
Oh, totally. We're proud to be local.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Because I think when I did, because I came up here originally when I went over to, I went to record with the guys at Quaya, but something came up. But that was a fun one because I was just trying to drive around and find like local like cans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed too is a lot of places, what they'll do is they will like they just like either bottle stuff or just on tap.
Yeah.
I know some places do crowlers too. But I mean, it's cool because it makes you go there and have that experience and not just going up and picking up a 4-pack and leaving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's one of the consulting things is like a new brewery. You got to figure out like what's your split going to be? Mm-hmm. How much are you going to distribute if you're going to distribute at all?
Yeah.
Obviously, the majority of revenue comes from taproom sales or to-go orders, like if you're picking up a can or whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as you introduce factors, say you're going to pay $7 or $8 for a pint at a taproom.
Yeah.
The material costs are just the ingredients themselves.
Yeah.
As soon as you can, now you've got the can machine, the time to run it, the actual materials themselves, so the cans, the labels, like none of that stuff is cheap. So it's all eating into your margin. And so
for sure.
The taproom model is definitely what I recommend for new breweries opening up. Like once you've filled that up and you're burning through all the beer that you can make, now's the time to start like really leaning in. Fortunately, leaning into like looking at distribution or expanding, adding a few tanks. During COVID, a lot of breweries had to pivot and move to that model entirely. Mm-hmm. And so it's become more ubiquitous, which is awesome because now I don't have to go, sit at a brewery. Like for example, picked up a couple of crowlers from Machine Head. And it's just that easy. It's like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this on my time at my house. And so, I like it. Mm-hmm. Kind of a cool culture shift that was sped along by COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. Cheers, bro. I appreciate it. This is It's murky for sure.
Yep. This is
Smells delicious.
citrus, danky, tropical.
Yeah.
Excellent New England IPA.
I love that. You said it's called Stargazer. It's cool and it has all the different, constellations.
Yeah.
I was going to type, I couldn't think for a second there. And let's see. A toast to wild, natural goodness, to freedom without fear, to community and restoration. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, citrus, dank, tropical.
So these guys and a couple of the other local brewers are why I don't want to open my own brewery here, because I don't want to compete with these. I can't. Like, their quality's off the hook. They're packed. They're a little bit off the beaten path, which, but you'll still get back there and it's like you got to park around the block because they are just absolutely killing it. So love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
And do they have like a kitchen too, or do they do like food trucks?
They bring in food trucks.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
And it's always posted on their Instagram. Same with most of the local breweries here. Only a few are brew pubs.
Awesome.
But yeah, there's always something to eat and live music. Obviously, the events and things that they do, bingo night or not bingo, trivia nights, things like that. So yeah.
What we should do, I mean, if we were able to, maybe I can't do it today because it's Kyla's birthday week, my sister.
Happy birthday, Kyla!
Yeah, but maybe next time I'm up here, if we could do collab, like we can go over there and hang out, like and do like have them on the episode.
We'll meet them in the back.
I'm down.
Show you the systems.
Sounds good to
Love
me.
those guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love, like the kind of collaboration and stuff like that. I remember I was just before I pivoted to the tap room, before when it was Taps and Tailgates, I did an episode with his name was Augustine from a brewery in Pico called Brujeria, which is, I guess, which in Spanish. I know people give me shit because I'm technically part Chicano and I don't speak Spanish.
No hablas español? Vamos, amigo.
Yeah, I got nothing. But I'm like, Tim and I were talking, and it was like, about like all the different styles and like how, what it took for them to start. And we were talking about COVID before, like how they kind of just killed. I'm saying not trying to kill breweries, but they were like, I feel like there was more strict with breweries than anything else. But
yeah,
it's just crazy, man.
Yeah. I know that was really rough. That's actually when I got my start as a professional brewer.
Yeah,
was the brewery was they didn't have a brewer when COVID hit and they shut down. They're like, dude, I need to make a paycheck. So he's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
So they've got this brand new 10-barrel brewery and nobody to fill the tanks. They actually had like beer that was just sitting there aging in the tank. So I had to go in.
Yeah.
I told them, I was like, hey, like I've never brewed professionally. I've been around them enough to where I know what I'm doing, but I need you to just know if we got to dump it because I don't know what I'm doing, we'll dump it. And they're like, okay, look, it's a gamble we're willing to take. And so they brought me on and just cleaned everything, kind of did a test run with water to make sure I knew how the pumps and everything worked. Yeah. And I just learned the hard way. So that was a swan dive into being a one-man show, cleaning kegs, doing the CIP, leaning heavily on all my brewer friends locally. Like, hey, can you explain to me how to do this and that? Yeah. And that's kind of how I got my feet wet, was taking over this brewery and making beer for the first time in 10 barrels at a time. And it was scary as hell, but super fun. And
baptism by fire.
It was, and there's no better way in my mind. It's just jump right in. I wouldn't recommend taking over a brewery, but saddle up if you want to get into it. Saddle up next to a brewery that's willing to let you shadow or intern or whatever you want to call it. But actually just see how it's made, and once you see it, the brewing process is the same across the board. Your particular gear or brew house might be a little bit different and have nuances, but I mean, beer is beer, and just you fine tune that system, learn how to make it sing, and the rest is enjoying the process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's the thing, like it's enjoying your hard work, because like we were saying earlier, it's 90% of the time you're cleaning, but that, for that 10% of like when you're actually brewing and everything like that, it's like that to me is like, just being able to have something like this, like, or like, the beers that you were brewing or any type of craft beer that you can have. And I'll always say that I'm not a beer snob at all. Like, I still like the shotgun, Busch Lights or whatever every once in a while. But just being able to just enjoy something like this, and because this is delicious, as yours were. And I don't know. It makes me it makes my heart happy, like that, being able to because if I can tell you that how good your beer is, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And because to me, who doesn't like to hear not like I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass or anything like that, but it's if you kind of tell, sometimes it's just nice to hear that your hard work is appreciated.
I love it. And yeah, I mean, this appreciating beer, this ruffles feathers. I like to think that beer is far more sophisticated than wine. And the wine snobs out there are like, no way, Jose. And it's like, no, look at just the volume of ingredients, the levers that we can pull to make something unique, like a New England IPA, for example, like we're drinking now.
Yeah.
You could have 15 versions of it with a limitless combinations of hops when you add them, temperature control, the yeast that we use. So when you really get into it, it's a sophisticated drink when you look at it that way. And I love getting to show people like, hey, this is my take on X, or this is their take on X, and this is way better than what I've been drinking. Or certain styles get stagnant, say West Coast IPA, for example. Like a lot of folks just went for let's make it as bitter as possible, and yada yada. And you get old. But that style itself has evolved over the last decade, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's just fun to be able to play with it and the recipes and kind of build that. That's where the art comes in.
Oh, for sure.
Is once you understand the process, okay, now let's play with it. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I love, too. I love hearing, people like yourself, brewers, nerd out over, oh, I tried, I had this great recipe or whatever, or people love enjoying somebody's beer, but they're like, yeah, but I'm going to do this one little thing to it.
Yep.
I'm going to change this one little thing. And people are like, oh, this is perfect. This is the best beer I've ever had, or best hazy I've ever had, or New England I've ever had, or best Pilsner or Kolsch or whatever. And then you're like, yeah, but I want to just tighten the screws on this or tweak this little thing. And it's I love that never wanting it the best. And, Vero and I were talking about it on Sunday after I recorded the intro for the episode.
Yeah.
For last week's episode. And she's like, you're your own worst critic. I was like, yeah, I know.
That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
I was like, I'm a perfectionist. I've always wanted, if I'm making something and I'm putting something out there for people to hopefully enjoy, I want to make it the best experience possible.
Yeah.
There have been so many times where I'm like, I don't want to put this episode out because I'm like, there's too much noise on this or too much noise on that. And it's or why does it sound like that? I didn't sound like that when I recorded it. And then I put it in the on the thing and I'm like, but it sounds like this. I'm like, man. But then people tell me oh, I love that. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't realize people liked it. And I'm like, so I had the guy that was on last week, oh gosh, Robert, OG Chew Your Beer on Instagram. He was just like, man, I love it when you're in the brewery and I hear stuff.
Yeah, there's people in the background, kids playing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And see, but I never thought that way because I always when I first started doing this, it was oh, we got to be as quiet as possible.
Nah, you got to keep it real.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I never really realized that until people started to tell me or because people don't really comment on other stuff, but they always DM me. And they're like, oh, I love the episode or love this. I love that you're doing it. Oh, I didn't really know that people would enjoy that.
Yeah, that's how I found you. Yeah. I didn't care that there's chairs scooting around in the background. It's the content. Okay, for me, I love the show because I'm listening to other brewers and hearing their stories. And I'm see, there's so many similarities. But again, everybody's journey to it is unique.
Yeah.
And different size breweries have different challenges. And so I'm learning and loving it and just getting to hear it. Now, when I go to one of those breweries, I'm like, I know your story. It's so much more approachable and fun. It's really cool, man.
Yeah, I had a guy yesterday when I was driving up because it's about a 3-hour drive up to Tulare from where I'm at. And one of the guys hey, stopped at Bergen. Mackenzie's not here though because of Mackenzie from over there. She's so sweet.
You got to message them ahead of time. Yeah, they'll be there.
I was like, that's cool, man. I appreciate you tagging me in the thing because at least they know that somebody was listening to it. That's why they're there, and that's cool. So,
well, and then I also get to meet other people through this. Like I've reached out to Rachel, like Bierkowski.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, she's awesome.
And
she's
so
cool.
offered consulting services for any of the clients that they take on with their charity.
Yeah.
It may work, it may not, but it's like, hey, let me donate time. So that's an hour that I can donate to anybody that wants advice or like work through a business plan for the lady brewers, which we need a lot more of.
Oh, for sure.
So I like it. I like it. Get to know real people.
And that's what I love too, is because I always feel like, there aren't as many, like, I feel like females in brewing or in the brewing process or even on the beer side, I feel like. And just trying to get those, hearing their stories, like whether it was Mackenzie or Chelsea from Edmonton, who I just so happened, like they popped up on the Instagram or whatever, the Polyrhythm Brewing. So shout out to Chelsea Tessier. Being able to, see her Instagram is like, man, like her hazies are just, or New England IPAs are just like, holy crap, like they looked so good. And being able to hear, like, learn stuff about Canada too.
Dude, totally, yeah. They've got a great beer scene.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like, all that sort of stuff, like, whether it's like, and I'm, Danielle, I'm recording with a congregation next week, and I've been talking about doing some stuff with, sorry, I can't remember her name, but for Hermosa Brewing over at Hermosa Beach, and just getting female brewers involved, because I mean, they need, they have their own voice, obviously, like that, but if I can get, them to, or people to hear from them about how they do their thing, to me, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I dig it.
So cool, man. I'm sorry. I go off on tangents.
No, you're good. You're good.
Because you listen to the show.
Yep. No, inclusivity, more female brewers. We gotta amp that up. Make it a thing.
For sure.
Yep.
And when you come back, sorry, phone was going off there.
Yep.
When you come back, and we talked about it a little bit off air, but now that we're back on here, I'd love to come back. You offered to, have me come over and brew with you. I'm totally down to do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm going to nerd out so hard. And I can't wait that we can record the whole thing and do a time-lapse video. I don't give two shits. I just want to be able to do that with you.
I love it. And I know you're into straight stouts, so we'll make my house porter recipe.
I'm
super
down.
Easy to brew. That's kind of a close cousin to stouts.
Okay.
I'm super proud of that recipe. And,
I'm down.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Sweet.
Yep.
And I could say that I helped brew something. So
I'm gonna make you do everything, so you'll be able to say I brewed it.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Totally down for that.
Cool.
I always want to ask. I've been wanting to ask you too, because I know, like, you, like, obviously with everything that you're doing, but like when you're just sitting down, if you go to a brewery and you're sitting there and you're going to order a beer, what is your favorite style to have?
I'm a equal opportunity drinker, so I will drink anything that is on tap. I'll usually ask the beer tender, and as long as they're educated and comfortable talking about it, I'll ask them, what's new? Is there any style that's unique? Because the brewers, they'll tell the beer tenders, hey, this is a unique take on X. And I'm always looking for that next frontier. And like we've said, there's so many variables and levers that we can pull, new ingredients, new stuff like that. I'm like, hey, what's new? What are they playing with? I want to try that test kitchen pilot batch that they made. I've been really into sours lately. Yeah. So if there's a quick sour method, which means it's not traditionally soured with like the long, like year-long, get funky. If it's a quick sour, I want to learn everything that there is about it, because I think that's one of the next frontiers, and that's an easy style to get people into craft beer with, and so I want to learn more about that. I've also been super into the non-alcoholic beers. Okay. Trying to find good examples of that is surprisingly hard. Yeah. There's a few that stand out. I mean, obviously we've got Athletic Brews, things like that, that are distributing everywhere, but for those nights where I know I got to drive, but I still want to hang out with my friends and do that. And so I'll switch to an NA beer. So if they've got an option like that, or a low ABV, that's what I'm looking for. But if it's a brand new brewery, I always go for their IPA. So if it's here, it's a West Coast IPA, and that's kind of my like when you go to an Italian restaurant, you're like, I want the carbonara. I want to try that or your pizza, and that's how I'm going to gauge, like, okay, you know what you're doing or not. Mm-hmm. If you can nail a West Coast IPA, like that's my desert island style. So, that's kind of my starting point.
Yeah.
I usually get flights, so I can like get a feel for.
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, they always say too, like if your Pilsner's good, you know the brewer's probably doing something well.
Yeah. Lagers are an animal of their own, and kind of the trajectory for most craft beer drinkers is like, let me get as dark and bitter as I can.
Yeah.
Not dark, dank and bitter as I can, and then you kind of peter out, and then the ultimate, like, I've graduated, I'm now a beer nerd, is like, how good is your Czech Pils or your Mexican lager?
Yeah.
Because those do take a little bit more love and care and time to brew and really
Rice
get right.
And all that stuff.
Yeah, so, and there's no extreme flavors to hide behind. So if there's a flaw in it, I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah, for sure. You can't mask anything.
Yeah, that's really kind of the test for new breweries. And I'm never critical of it, but I know a good one when I taste it.
Oh, for sure.
So, if I had to pick a favorite style, I'd lean into that IPA.
Okay.
Especially West Coast, that's my jam.
Yeah, so. That's always good. I mean, you love a good West Coast. I mean, I feel like obviously like the Pliny's and stuff like that. Those are like what really kind of got things going. I felt like
totally.
But now it's just like there's so many good ones out there.
Yeah,
and it's like don't get me wrong. I still like Pliny's, like whether it's the elder or the younger. I know people like will fall on their sword and die, or fall and die on their sword with whatever one that they.
Dude,
like.
I just spent. But I think it was $46. But one of the bars at the Giant Stadium in San Francisco had both Pliny and Blind Pig.
Yeah,
I was like, I'll take one of each.
Yeah,
and then it rang me up, and I'm like, oh shit. It was like $46 for two 12-ounce beers. I took a picture of it, sent it to my beer nerd group, and I was like, oh my god, I just bled money for these beers, but I'm gonna enjoy every sip of it. So
for sure,
yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do too? Because my brother's doing another can for Brewery X in this. Oh, he's actually doing one in the summer and one in the winter. So I'll bring you a 4-pack of each, and I'll show you the can artwork that he's doing.
Totally, yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool. Like
cool.
I'm like super excited, like just to be able to get it because of what it is, because I'm such a nerd. But I'll show you off air. I can show you right now, but we can keep on talking. But I did want to ask you your favorite kind of local spots that if you were going to go to. Obviously, Crow and Wolf is one of them.
Yeah, we have an amazing craft brewers guild locally. Okay. So I mean, shout out to we've got Riley's, South of Shaw, Crow and Wolf. Machine Head is a great brewery. So their sour game is killer.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm glancing over them, but yeah, if you come into town, I mean, definitely check out South of Shaw, Crow and Wolf, Riley's, Summer Fox. Yeah, they're all great breweries, and we got a handful of startups that are also making great beer. So if you come here, there's the Central Valley Craft Brewers Guild, awesome. And that has like maps of all the breweries that are local. We even have a bus that'll take you around and give you a tour of the different places. So you hop on in the morning and you go get your flights at all the different places.
That's cool.
The brewery scene here in Fresno and Clovis I couldn't ask for a better beer scene. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I'm going to have to whatever, when we can do that, when we can brew, I might have to just plan a whole a weekend
totally
around it, and then I can hit all the different places, because even the Craft Brewers Guild guys, I'd love to have them on.
Yep.
Be able to just hear how they do that, because I'm always curious about the guilds and stuff like that. It's how do you even eventually become a part of that?
Yeah, I mean, well, the point of the guild is, one, to increase awareness with the public. They've got their own Central Valley Craft Brewers Guild Instagram, and you follow that, and they're promoting who's local. They cycle through all the breweries that are members.
Yeah.
The breweries pay their dues to based on how much they produce.
Yeah.
But what they get in return is special beer fests that are for the guild. And so, hey, we're gonna hole up at this location at this time. Everybody donates beer. All proceeds go to the guild.
Yeah.
But that just turns right back into promotion for those same breweries. So it works out.
Tax write-offs.
Yeah, it is a nonprofit. Yeah, and but then you have affiliate members, so restaurants, businesses that sell alcohol. So the tap rooms, whoever else wants to be an affiliate, distributors, folks like that. And so, it's really cool. And at the meetings, there's it's more than just, hey, what's our next event?
Yeah.
It's, hey, I'm struggling to get 16-ounce cans right now. Does anybody have a pallet they can get rid of? And that networking and the sharing and,
that's cool.
I don't want to say trade secrets because none of it's secret. It's all out there on the internet now. But it's like, hey, how are you guys doing X, Y, Z? And I love that collaboration. And so because I'm not a brewer, a professional brewer, I'm just kind of on the fringes of professional brewing. I still get to go and play and do that. And I ran their social media for a little while.
That's cool.
It's just really cool to kind of be a fly on the wall and watch the pros, how they do it.
Yeah.
And that's where I learn.
Yeah.
So if I'm consulting with somebody that has a question that's over my head, I've got an entire network of brewers. I'm like, hey, where do you guys do, who does mobile canning locally? Who do you turn to? Where do you get your supplies for X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
So I can help folks that I'm in turn consulting with. I've got a wealth of knowledge and collectively hundreds of years of brewing experience.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool resource to be part of.
That's awesome. I mean, I wish I could describe like how what that would feel like. I mean, it's just cool. It's badass more than anything. Like being able to, just, I'm sure like just being like you said, being the fly on the wall, like seeing what they do and, being on all these festivals. And I always like get jealous of like the beer judges. It's like, you bastards get to drink like all these beers and, and just, like, oh, yeah, this is my job. And being a beer judge.
Yeah.
But like, how cool is that? I mean, and that's, just, I mean, like I said, I get lost of words sometimes. I'm just like, man, like, because I get so excited about it, and I'm like, fuck, like I don't know what else to say.
No, you're doing it though. You get to talk to brewers and hang out with.
When I get to talk to people like you, and like being all the shit that you're doing right now. I mean, that's just it's crazy to me to think about. I know, and you also have another job.
Yep.
I mean, I have my other job, and I do this, and I'm this is my therapy. I always say, but still, like that's. Dude, you're distilling, you're writing, you're brewing. You have your website, you're consulting, and then you also have your full-time job too. I'm assuming, but I mean that's crazy. And honestly, 4th of July was the other day, so thank you for being in the middle, for being a veteran and stuff like that. Because I'm always super appreciative of veterans. Like I said, a lot of my family have been in the military. Yeah. So I always appreciate everything that you guys do. I mean, I don't know all the sacrifices you have to make and then your family has to make, for stuff like that. So, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Should we...
Got another beer?
Yeah, we got one more beer before we finish up here. All right. So we got another one from Crow and Wolf.
This is another one. This is their coffee stout. So coffee and vanilla. It's
sounds amazing to me.
Lactose. Let's dive in.
What's the percentage on this bad boy?
6.5.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Vanilla for days. Just a hint, a whisper of coffee. Super smooth mouthfeel. That's an excellent beer.
I always say that'll get you there.
Yep. The vanilla on the nose just absolutely makes it. I mean,
for sure.
90% of our taste comes from the aroma. So it makes a perfect little head that just keeps that aroma fresh the whole pint, and you're good.
Yeah. One day, if you're ever like down near my way, I'll have to take you to Stereo because they make that. Was it a mint chocolate stout?
Ooh.
It's like 10%, but it doesn't taste like one thing I don't really care for is like just making something overly boozy just to do it.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to do that.
I'm definitely not into barley wines. Yeah. There's a like special B, a couple of the ingredients that go into those. Yeah. It gives like this raisin aftertaste that I just do not like personally.
Yeah.
I can appreciate a well executed barley wine, especially if it's aged right and it's got some legs on it. But yeah, that 13%, it's hard to drink. It's kind of the one hitter quitter of like, that's all I get tonight is that. So
for sure,
I'm done.
Yeah, and I feel the same exact way. I feel like we're kindred spirits in a lot of ways when it comes to the stuff that we like. But yeah, I for something like this, 6.5%, like
it is perfect.
Yeah, you can't beat it, and it's like super easy drinking, and like even like I feel like I can drink this during the summer too, and I don't feel like because stouts I kind of feel like have that that kind of what's the word?
It's warming. It's a warming effect.
Yeah. And it's like, but people like want to drink it more during the winter, like or winter, fall kind of time. Where I used to smash like Murphy's every summer. It didn't matter what temperature it was.
Yeah.
But this is freaking delicious. So shout out to Crow Wolf. And what are the guys like what's the head brewer's name over there?
So we got Brad and Spencer are the brewers over there. Great
Shout
dudes.
out to Brad and Spencer. And I'll tag Crow Wolf on this episode when this one comes out in a couple of weeks.
Let's make sure and get there sometime soon. I'll show you.
I'm down.
I'll show you around.
Yeah, I'm totally down to
talk to them.
This, and like I said, this is an outlet for me. It's like therapy, and I get to listen to guys, talk about something they're passionate about. Because like I talk, so like, I have all my buddies and stuff like that. My brother, who's super passionate about beer, obviously works with Brewery X and does a lot of distribution for them, and does their can artwork. But being able to hear because when I talk like nerd talk with him, like when it's comic books, it's Star Wars, it's all these different things. But it's to me, it's like it doesn't have to be about one specific thing. Just hearing somebody nerd out about something, and now it's cool to be a nerd now. I mean, and you can talk about anything like that, and being able to just enjoy each other's company and find out other people's passions and stuff like that. And I think even when Anthony Kozlowskis and I talked, it was just like we talked about how if we were sitting at the bar and he saw me wearing a Braves hat in Philly or something like that, and I was like, yeah, dude, like I thoroughly enjoy going to a brewery, and if there's not that many people there and we're just two dudes or a guy and a girl hanging out and like just have a conversation about, oh, you're into this or you're into that, I'd be like, that's cool. I mean, because it kind of, there's that, like stigma where it's like, oh, where you're, can you be friendly and stuff like that? And, but you can be. Just, you don't have to be like, oh, like I go hiking, with Veto and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, good morning to everybody. And they're like, they just keep on walking. Yeah. But I mean, just, maybe if anybody listening, you're sitting at a brewery or even just, going on a hike, you can say hi to somebody, just be a good person.
Be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Sorry, I went off on a little tangent there.
Yeah, this is a winner.
That's so good, man. So good. So I was before we do locals only, I do want to ask, because my apologies because I forgot to send you this little thing.
You're good.
Tales from the tap room. Any funny tales when being at a brewery or brewing?
I've definitely had some shenanigans here in this tap room in my personal brewery. The neighbors all know I've got 6 taps and they're always flowing. So this maybe a couple of weeks ago, I'm sitting out here cleaning something. Yeah. Up comes my neighbor in a golf cart with 2 of his super drunk buddies. And it's like 10 o'clock. I'm ready to go to bed. And they roll up, hey, like they're clearly have been drinking for a long time. And they just come in and just start banging around. And I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing it. And so top started flowing here. Just awesome. Have a good old time. I don't know. Tales from the tap room. There's plenty to talk about when it's like unexpected things as a brewer. Yeah. You're like, I just ran out of CO2. I am in trouble. Like, what do we do? And so more than anything, I like applauding brewers who can MacGyver their way through things and just fix the problem, figure it out. Yeah. Home brewing and pro brewing, you do have to have a level of like I said, MacGyver-ness
Yeah.
to like get through when something isn't happening right. You got to stuck mash, whatever it is. You just have to figure it out and and go with it. And so hopefully without messing up that beer. And so, I really like that part of brewing is that the personality trait. It attracts a lot of like engineering types and in a good way, the nerds out there. Yeah.
And you said stuck mash, so I would always ask a brewer, have you ever had one?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. As I was learning at the professional level, so on a 10-barrel batch, the first few times that I brewed, I was so terrified of it. Yeah. I was going like way above and beyond to make sure I was running everything low and slow.
Rice
and then once it starts, and once it starts amping up, it's like, okay, no, we really need to do this. I got to be done by noon because the tap room opens at 2. And so you start like trying to speed things up, and I just had to learn that balance. But I've definitely been stuck like blowing CO back through the lines to try and like free things up and figure it out.
That's awesome, man.
It's fun. It's a learning curve, but once you dial in a system, you kind of know how it goes. And on the homebrew level, that just unless you have like an old school 3-tier system or something with a false bottom, that's just not going to happen. Like most all-in-ones, like you're talking about the Brewzilla for you guys, you kind of can't have a stuck mash because you're just going to lift the basket out and that's that, or give it a stir and you're fine. Yeah. But on a big system, that's definitely something you got to pay attention to.
Yeah. One cool story was when they, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. He was the head brewer for 3 Iron Brewing. It was back with second to last episode of Taps and Tailgates before I changed to the tap room. And he told me, he was like, one day he couldn't find his paddle.
Uh-oh.
So all he had was a 3 iron.
Yeah.
So he used that.
Dude, that's got to be the name of that beer.
Yeah.
He named it that, right?
Yeah. So he named the brewery 3 Iron Brewery.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it.
And that's cool. I mean, when you hear like little nuggets or tidbits, stuff like that, it makes you think like, yeah, man, like, everybody's, just trying to get by. And you got to get by with like MacGyver.
You got to figure it out. Yep. There's no getting around it.
So we'll finish up the show with locals only. Is there any like favorite, like obviously other than breweries, like local spots that if somebody's driving past and they want to go to a brewery and they want to get some food or wherever, or local spots over here, what would you suggest?
Yeah. One of my favorites is South of Shaw. They have incredible pizza. So they hand make their dough every day. It's right off the freeway, so it's easy access from the 99.
Okay.
Downtown Fresno, and you can't go wrong. Come for the beer, stay for the pizza.
There you go.
Or the other way around, whatever floats your boat. But
yeah.
Definitely excellent. We've talked about Crow and Wolf.
Yeah.
But yeah, Machine Head, Summer Fox. We have Tioga Sequoia is right here downtown.
I meant
so
to
they're
mention
here.
That,
yeah, they're all great breweries. Not a single brewery in this area am I like, maybe you should stay away from that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll take that back. There's a couple that I can think of, but I'm not going to name drop and drop some bombs. But if you're searching for a place, definitely check out the Craft Brewers Guild. Instagram and the website, and you'll be in good hands. You're gonna have a good time.
Yeah. Chew Your Beard told me about Tioga Sequoia. He said it was like, I think they had a beer, was a General Sherman.
General Sherman, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it's definitely as West Coast as it gets. It's piney, danky, super good. Definitely one of my go-tos when I'm at the grocery store and I don't know what to get. I'm like, hey, pick that up. It's safe.
Okay. Yep. And they sell that locally, I'm assuming. Is it?
It's all over the valley.
Is it? Okay.
They distribute well. But yeah, definitely local. They've got, so all of their stuff is themed after kind of Yosemite and like local vibes. And so we've got Firefall Red. Their General Sherman is named after the giant redwood that's in Yosemite. They're consistently good beer.
That's cool.
You're in good hands.
That's awesome, man.
We mentioned, Riley's, House of Pendragon. Yeah. There's tons of good breweries here locally.
That's cool. Yep. House of Pendragon reminded me of Game of Thrones or something.
Oh, they're totally like dragon themed.
Are they? That's awesome.
Yeah. They had a stint where almost everything that they were making was New England IPAs, but they had the White Walker and all the things like. So definitely if you're nerding out on that kind of stuff, then they're
Cool.
They're good to go, and their sour game is fantastic too.
Awesome. Yeah, and I love sours too. I for a minute I was into like kind of like the slushies and stuff like that. But even then, like when I was drinking slushies, it was like I feel like you can drink like maybe a half a can.
It's thick.
Yeah, and it's like
thick.
They're delicious. Don't get me wrong. At least the ones I would have from like 450 or whatever. But when I would try them, I'm like, oh, this is good. But I was like, I couldn't do a whole can. Though.
Yeah, that's that smoothie sours. It'll get you. Same thing. I prefer classic styles.
Yeah.
But a fad is going to come and go. So like we had the brewed IPAs, for example, that came and went, and it's fine. It was okay for what it was. But the smoothie sours, I'm kind of glad that that's going away.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like it got so big for a while. I mean, at least for me, I don't see the 450s or like those kind of slushies as often. But it's just, they're not as good as they like. They're as good tasting they are. Like I just can't do a whole can. But like the traditional sours, they're delicious. Yep. I mean, like you can't beat, especially on a hot day. And I feel like whether it's like a sour or a seltzer, those are like the gateway drugs into craft beer. So this has been super fun for me. I really appreciate you invite me over and being able to see your whole setup and everything like that. And like I said, you being, obviously airborne. As soon as I saw that, I was like, hey, my mind went to my grandfather. So, I mean, it's really cool. And I really appreciate, you being so hospitable and, doing all this stuff for me and being able to come hang out with you.
Dude, super fun.
Yeah. And you got because you play guitar too, right?
I do. Yeah. I'm not good, but I do play it. Yeah. Hey, I know that one is actually made out of an ammo can.
Yeah,
and
that's what I saw that. I was like, how cool is that?
An amp to match it, also made out of an ammo can.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It actually works.
Oh, shit. I'm going to have to get a picture of that and show it because my brother, because he's everything artistic, whether it comes to drawing or like playing like, instruments and stuff like that.
Sick.
So.
Yeah, I took an old first act guitar, like the ones that like kids would learn on. Yeah. So it's pretty cheap, like $100-something.
Yeah.
Took all the guts out of it, so the pickups, and just ran all the lines inside that ammo can, and that's it.
That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to get a picture of that. But this has been so fun for me, and thank you, for this, and we'll end it here. But like I said, if you're listening. And you need a consultant, or if you need anything, or go to bigpopbrewing.com. You can talk to Ryan, or you can reach him on his Instagram.
Absolutely.
At the same handle.
Yep.
Obviously, super nice guy, super approachable, and everything like that. And being able to, with everything that he's doing within the industry, and if you need some good gin,
this is the way.
Yeah, this is the way. To shout out to the Mandalorian. But thanks again, brother. Anything else you want to plug? No,
I'm here. Like you said, anybody that wants to reach out, feel free. I'm on Instagram every day, and through the website, you could schedule a call or just DM me, and we'll figure it out, and it'll be fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers, bro. Let's do one more clink there. We'll chug this one before we finish it up. I'm going to steal Jizzy's line before we finish. When it was still taps and tailgates, you would stick that in your pint glass.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the interview, and make sure you give Ryan a follow at Big Pop Brewing on Instagram. But I'm going to end the episode, instead of doing the bro quote or a movie quote or anything like that, I'm going to end it with the bartender that I spoke with. Just a quick little snippet of him and what he does and his favorite beer at the brewery. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Take care, Tap Out.
Hey, I'm Alejandro. I work here at Other Brother. I'm a bartender, and my favorite beer is a Super Custom. Sorry.
Oh,